Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
We've had some big WWE stars pulled from this Sunday's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Usually, when WWE stars are pulled on the go-home show, you think, there's a big thing going on right now that could be to blame. But no, it's not that. Ric Flair got someone pregnant in storyline. Let's point out it's in storyline. I'm Mr. Davis. I'm joined by Lukewarm Luke Owen, and we are here to review WWE Raw. But first, please, this is the last week of the Super Content Shakeup. As of next, this is the last WrestleTalk podcast review of Raw that's going to take place on this main WrestleTalk YouTube channel. From next week, it's going to be exclusively on the WrestleTalk podcast channel.
Yeah, it's the end of an era in terms of you and I have been doing this WrestleTalk podcast on the main WrestleTalk channel for nearly 5 years. And this is the end of an era for us. So, sad in a way, but also it's a brand new horizon. And also it's better for you viewers. You viewers are going to get so much better content out of us because the YouTube algorithm won't be messing around with all your subscriptions and stuff. So yeah, head on over. Link to it is in the video description down below. And it's being put into the chat by our wonderful moderation team. It's going to be a grand old time, a lovely little time over there on its exclusive channel.
Be an early adopter. Be a VIP over at the WrestleTalk Podcast Lounge. It's totally different to this one. It's just...
And I can also tell you, 2/3 of the viewers are over on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. 2/3.
That's great going. Well done, guys. I'm proud of you. That's a good sign to everything not falling apart. Anyway, right, it's also... Just in case this is a bit nerdy and a bit of a tangent, but we're always trying to understand the YouTube algorithm. That, to me, sounds like the WrestleTalk podcast audience were more likely to be recommended the show on the live stream beginning.
I think so. I think that sounds about right, yeah.
That's interesting because, if you're on the main channel, maybe you're still being served my Raw Review WrestleTalk news from just 2 hours ago. So if anyone is interested in how all that works and why we're doing it, hopefully that's proof of why. Right, this episode of Raw, we'll get to the full play-by-play later, but I guess it's not that different for usual go-home episodes of Raw for WWE to seemingly rip up the script, but there is a few things that were in their control and others that seemingly aren't. First off, we'll talk about the... I can't believe it's taken this route. The Ric Flair Lacey Evans partnership was debuted in January as Charlotte Flair's big return beefing storyline. Lacey Evans last week was beaten up so much, folks, she got booked in a match against Asuka for the Raw Women's title at the pay-per-view this Sunday. But on this episode of Raw, we had a tag match, Asuka and Charlotte, best friends, taking on Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans. Other best friends. Do you remember, how best friends they are?
Friends. Oh, they're the bestest of friends. Did you not see their interactions that they had? I would say they're probably more... I don't know if you can say this, but I feel like they're more better friends than Naomi and Lana are.
But Lana, Naomi is Lana's lucky charm. The thing to remember, everyone, is women are only capable of two kinds of relationships. They're either best friends with each other or they're all bitches backstage in the locker room and, starting feuds. Those are the only two types of women that exist in WWE on screen. Not, obviously, I'm being facetious there. It's unfortunate that they don't write their characters better. So they have a tag match and Lacey Evans is not tagging in because she doesn't want to face Charlotte. Usual heel shenanigans, but then she finally gets tagged in. She hops off the apron so she doesn't face Flair, and then she grabs a mic, says, "You can't touch me because I'm pregnant." And PW Insider have reported this is real.
Yeah, and then Ric Flair started to woo a lot because he realized that he is going to be a daddy. Like, okay, so in storyline purposes, Ric Flair is the dad of this baby. Like, that's what's implied. That was certainly implied by what went on in all of this. Charlotte's reaction to it, Flair's celebration of it, and Lacey. Lacey cut this promo. I was actually checking this out on WrestleTalk on WWE's YouTube channel. Lacey cut this promo about how, like, all your nasties, this, that, and the other. And at the end of it, she proper did like an evil villain chuckle. She actually went like a as she walked away. She's a very goofy heel. But yeah, PW Insider, Wrestling Inc., and a few other places are now reporting that this is a shoot pregnancy. Lacey, they've only just found out that she is pregnant. WWE themselves have only just found out. So the decision was made to pull her from the match with Asuka this Sunday, which makes complete sense. And if it is true, if she is pregnant, that's great news. Congratulations to them as a family. That's really, really wonderful news. It certainly speaks to me that this is not going to be like the Becky situation where Becky, announced that she was pregnant and then took time off TV and hasn't been back since. This is very much, I think she's going to be on TV every single week so she can keep pushing this storyline with Ric Flair. Otherwise, why would you tease that it's Flair's, right?
I guess, look, WWE have been gifted a situation where they put Lacey Evans and Ric Flair together in a sort of, it's meant to be that they've definitely presented it and they've gone out of their way in promos to say this is a platonic relationship. It's all about Rick choosing Lacey over Charlotte. So it's more of a daughterly thing, which makes
I feel like now that they've done, like in the last couple of weeks, they've made that switch. Prior to that, they were definitely boning. Like they would, like the storyline was these two are at it like rabbits. And then when people started to be like, that's a bit weird, they were like, yeah, I mean, it was definitely from the very start. This has only been about business.
Shame on you, viewers, for thinking that, you dirty minds.
Like how it was our fault that we all thought that Lana and Liv Morgan had a lesbianism storyline. It was our fault. It was our dirty mind. It wasn't the fact that they said that on TV.
It's our prejudices. It was a bisexual storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. So, yes, they are pushing that route. I don't know. The WWE, like I said, they've been given lemons, but a great lemon. Someone's pregnant. But for storyline purposes and for Lacey being in the title match this weekend, very problematic. So I guess, that you should exploit this and push the idea that Rick and Lacey are a couple. Why wouldn't you? It's wrestling. It's wrestling. Sometimes it's meant to be a bit bad taste.
Totally. It's wrestling. There are some people who love this industry so much. They're like, do you know what? I will shoot an angle at my legit wedding. If you want me to shoot a legit an angle at my shoot wedding to put over your 24/7 title, I'm game for it because I love this business. And maybe that's where Lacey's at the moment. She was like, dude, it would be so great if we ran this as a storyline where Ric Flair's the dad, but then we'll reveal afterwards that he's not the dad. And that is what will lead to our split as a partnership. And he can go back to being with Charlotte Flair again.
Oh God, who do you think? Who's the dad in that situation?
Probably her husband.
No, you've got to get over another wrestler.
Andrade.
Scandal.
I mean, I don't think they would because they're a pretty couple, and WWE, if you're a pretty couple and they like you, then you're allowed to stay together. If you're a couple where one of them is pretty and the other one's not so pretty, then it's a relationship that doesn't make sense, and we have to split you up, and we have to put your partner with someone else on screen. But I don't think they would put Andrade in that situation. He's far too pretty.
No, it's going to be Otis. Let's make peace with it now. It's going to be Otis as the dad. So, but for Lacey, I'm sure she's thinking, I cannot wrestle. She shouldn't wrestle. She's pregnant. It's unsafe. But she can still work. And WWE have this, tradition of if someone can't work, they just take them off screen because they're not creative enough or they're too lazy to think of a way around it. But yeah, if they keep on healing it up as these two going forward, all the power to them. I just don't know what you do with the title match this Sunday with Asuka.
Well, I guess you just don't have a title match this Sunday. They didn't use this show to book an alternative. And this match didn't even have an ending. It's not like that you use this match to kind of put over Peyton Royce to be the just pardon the pun, the surrogates to go into the match instead, because they just beat her from pillar to post throughout the match. So she is certainly not a credible contender. And yeah, they didn't use any, like there was nothing else in the show. So I guess you just don't have a match this week, or this Sunday rather.
Yeah, maybe. The other people who were pulled were Keith Lee. They spoke about on commentary, isn't going to be a part of that United States triple threat with Bobby Lashley and Matt Riddle.
So yes, we don't know on this one. He's still on the match graphic, and he was on the match graphic on this show as well. But they said that he was injured during Bobby Lashley's beatdown, so he's in question about whether he's going to be on the show on Sunday. I would imagine that he will be, because it seems very weird to just do it as a throwaway line that he's not going to be on the show and not shoot like a much bigger angle to kind of write him out of the match. So
they literally left their women's championship match hanging. We just talked about how they do this all the time.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I think that we could probably expect Keith Lee to be on the show. I think they probably just didn't want to have beat up Keith Lee for 2 weeks in a row before, the title match on Sunday. Because you can beat up Riddle as much as you want. He's small. So you can beat him up a lot. But, Keith Lee's a big lad. You don't want to beat him up 2 weeks on the bounce.
Well, I hope it, because he's had a bit of he's been on and off telly as of late. He missed the Royal Rumble, unfortunately. That it came out later that Mia Yim had tested his real life, fiance now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations to them.
Amazing
yeah.
Stuff.
That happened recently. She tested positive for coronavirus. She came out and said, and of course, they live together, so Keith Lee was off the Rumble, but he was there last week on Raw, but he's gone now. So, yeah. Don't know whether it's storyline or legit, whether he'll be at the pay-per-view this Sunday either. And the other person, really big change. I'm surprised this wasn't... I don't know when they would have thought of this. So, okay, here's what happened. The show opened with a Miz TV segment. He had Drew McIntyre out. They did some cute stuff going back and forth. Of course, they're both in the chamber match this Sunday. And at the end of the promo, after Drew had headbutted him and walked off and threw the briefcase up the ramp in that wonderful way Drew does, Miz said that he is taking himself out of the chamber match.
Yeah, because he doesn't need to be in the chamber. He's already got a guaranteed title match inside the Money in the Bank briefcase. All he's got to do is just wait until those 6 guys in there, whoever has walked out as the champion, have beaten the holy heck out of each other, and just cash in on that champion. And he did say, I'm not saying that I am going to cash in on this Sunday, but I could. So why do I need to be in the match? And he did this as a way, like we then later learned, because he was then talking with Adam Pearce, that he wanted to do it so he could put John Morrison in the match instead, as a way, hey, we've now got 2 chances for one of us to walk away as the champion this Sunday, but it backfired on him, and instead Kofi Kingston got into the match instead. So this was not part of Miz's plan. But yeah, I wonder when this decision was made to take Miz out of the match, because it's not like last week they were saying, like they didn't put over this idea on commentary that it's weird that Miz is in the match. Because he's got the Money in the Bank briefcase. He doesn't need to be in the match. It's a very, whatever, Miz putting this in the comment. It just sort of came very much out of nowhere for him to be like, yeah, I'm not going to be in the match now. Instead, I'm just going to cash in instead.
Yeah, well, it was something we were all picking up on. A lot of people last week in our comment section were saying, it's what a waste of a place. Miz has already got the briefcase. He can cash in whenever. Why is he in the chamber?
And it's weird that it's not Kofi. Like, as former WWE champion, Kofi should be in that match. And we said the reason why he's not is because they see him as a tag guy now.
So, yeah, I don't know if they then saw that or this is the plan all along. Just based on how WWE seems to work and what they've done in the past, this feels like a late change. But I've got to admit, on this episode, I thought it was a very effective change. I really liked Miz's promo work in the opening section. I thought it was really good, like psychotic, serious bit at the end. The idea of him, but you missed this bit out. When he talked to Pearce about putting Morrison in the match to replace him, he described John Morrison as a young up-and-comer.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's not been around for as long as The Miz has. So I guess he is a young up-and-comer.
Which popped me. It's nice to see Miz. Miz knows. And then when they're having another argument backstage with the New Day and Adam Pearce, Miz says, but John Morrison is a former world champion. He's an ECW world champion.
I mean, if Braun doesn't qualify after being a Universal champion as like a technicality, I'm not sure Morrison being an ECW champion also qualifies him.
Xavier Woods guffawed at that line. He openly corpsed when Miz said that. And of course, Pierce booked the match and Kofi beat Miz to get into the chamber. So just,
Great
I guess,
match.
like, I liked how this came about, even though it was a late change. But I just don't understand Pierce's motivation here. Like, if the idea is that the match has to be former world champions, why don't you put in Kofi immediately? Why do you even entertain the idea that Morrison would go in? Why do you book a match?
I guess just to put stuff on TV would be my simple answer. You got to fill the 3 hours somehow. And I thought this was a really nice creative way to do it. It added some stakes for Kofi's match with Miz, but it also gave Kofi an Achilles heel going into the Gauntlet match because it's February. So of course there was a Gauntlet match on TV. It's Gauntlet match season. And so it kind of gave him, an out to be eliminated right from the start. It's weird that Ali did not get involved or any member of Retribution, considering like their whole beef with Kofi is that he stole a spot into Elimination Chamber and this, that, and the other. And then he's getting another shot into and they don't get involved. Very weird for them not to show their faces whatsoever in all of this.
That is an open freaking goal of booking. Gauntlet match and everything. I don't understand it. Well, we will get into your hyper chats very shortly. Get them into WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one of them. But first, we've had over 1,000 people join us since we plugged this. Go and watch us over on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel because this is the last episode of our Raw review that's going to be on the WrestleTalk channel. From next week, it's going to be on the exclusive WrestleTalk Podcast channel.
Indeed, yeah. I've seen a couple of people in the chats. I don't know which channel you were on, but I have seen some people in the chats asking why we are doing dual streams across both channels. And this is why. It's to let you know that this podcast will be moving to its own exclusive channel. As of next week, you'll only find the podcast material on WrestleTalk Podcast. So go over there now, give it a subscribe, and you'll get live streams there. And, the show with me and Denise, the SmackDown review, all of our live stream reactions, all of our predictions will also be over on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. So if you do enjoy those, you'll also want to head on over there so you get access to when those go live as well. So this is the very last week that we're doing this. Link to it will be in the chats posted by our wonderful moderators.
Speaking of moderators, we've had some technical issues. So thank you, Abby, for stepping in, social media manager, Abby. But these aren't in the order that we normally do them. We're just doing them in chronological order as they come in as opposed to curated by topic. So let's have a look at some of these. Bacon Rasher, Ding Dong, hello, lads. That last hour of Raw was really good booking for me, and Bliss was back to being good. But the first 2 hours I thought was just standard rubbish. Raw, although I did like the Miz promo. Also, any idea how much longer Keith is off TV? Jam that jam.
So we jam that jam. We don't know if it's a legit thing or whether it's just they took him off TV for this week to kind of sell the injury the Bubbles gave him last week. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out this Sunday, or whether they may just announce on Saturday or maybe even on Sunday, an hour before the show. He's not in the match now.
James Dobinson, when an episode of Raw starts with Miz TV, you're in for a long 3 hours. I thought the exact same.
Yeah, I know. Oh, man. And he came out in a suit. I was like, oh, no, it's Miz TV, isn't it? Oh, God. What now?
I watched NXT Vengeance Day last night. It was incredible. It really is hard to believe that Raw is made by the same company. What a mess of a show. Well, I enjoyed this episode of Raw. After I finished watching it, my lady partner always asked me, how was the wrestling? And I said, yeah, it was good. And she went, oh, what? Like yesterday's was? And I was like, no, it was awful compared to yesterday's. Yesterday's was amazing. This was rubbish compared to that, but by its own crap standards. Loved it.
Thumbs up show.
James Dobinson again. So Lacey implies she's pregnant with Rick's baby, but is still planning to face Asuka this weekend. Heard Lacey is legit pregnant, so why not set up a new opponent for Asuka on the Go Home show? Do you reckon they'll now do a mystery replacement for Chamber?
They could, just have Asuka come out on the show and be like, I don't have a challenger. And then someone comes out and they just have a 3-minute match that doesn't have an ending. And there you go. That's your women's championship match. It's what happened with, which pay-per-view was it when Nikki Cross was supposed to face Bayley? And then Nikki Cross wasn't actually there at the show. So Asuka came out and had a match with her instead. And it just went like a handful of minutes. And then they just, did a double count out or whatever it was and end it there. You could just do that, really.
It'll be Charlotte. Leon Quashi. Good afternoon, gents. Have you seen the AEW Women's Eliminator on YouTube? The Veni Emi Sakura match was magnificent and worth the admission alone. Hot take. I enjoyed that match more than the Women's Triple Threat Vengeance Day. Well, that triple threat was slightly marred by the table botch and things not going to plan.
Yeah, that was a match that had 20 minutes allocated and only went 12. So I like you said, you put it well in your review yesterday, where it's like through no fault of their own, it was the worst match or the weakest match on the card. It wasn't bad. It's, weakest. It was by no means bad, but it could have been a whole heck of a lot better. It's just, circumstances worked against them. I've not seen the AEW thing though. A friend of mine was texting me today saying how much they enjoyed it. So it's on my list of things that I want to try and check out this week if I can get some free moments. But I've heard that it's not bad. I've heard that it doesn't look great, though, which is why it's not on TV.
And finally, for now, Julie Hornsberg. Lacey Evans is pulling out of Elimination Chamber. Guess Rick is the one who should have pulled out. Also, did Rick get the Miz pregnant as well? By the way, Mr. Davis still smells like stale onions. Hey,
when did you start?
Cologne. It's just what I smell like. It's my smell. It's my thing. So yes, very good joke with the pullouts there. That is not a legitimate form of birth control, folks. Remember. Right, so go over to WrestleTalk Podcast. Enjoy the play-by-play full review of Raw over there. How many people we got over on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel?
So half of the audience, just under half really, is on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. There's still just over half. If you're trying to get this show next week on the main WrestleTalk channel, you're not going to find it. It's just not going to be there. And then don't come to me on Twitter being like, where is it? Don't be coming to me. Don't be coming to Ollie on Twitter either, because Ollie doesn't go on Twitter and he won't answer your question. But I probably will. And I will point you in the right direction, really, because that's part of my job. I will respond to you and tell you where it is.
Yeah, so go over there now, hit the subscribe button, thumbs up, comment, all the stuff. Right, so as we've already talked about, this episode opened with Miz TV. Drew McIntyre was the guest. John Morrison's absence. He was another person who was gone, sorry. So John Morrison wasn't on the show at all. It was weird to see Miz come out without Morrison. And I immediately thought, okay, John Morrison's going to dress up like Drew McIntyre here. But he wasn't. Miz just described him as being away, working with a producer far better than Bad Bunny. So still keeping that feud bubbling.
Yeah, they're working on a Bad Bunny diss track, which, it's perfectly good stuff. I'm sure it'll be just as good as that Braun Strowman one they did last year. Miz was like intentionally annoying in this segment, and it's the bizarre dichotomy of the Miz at the moment, where he is comedy goofball heel, constantly calling Drew Andy throughout all of this, and then getting beaten up like a goofball, and then all of a sudden being like, and now it's time for a serious promo. Here I am, I'm now Mr. Serious, and then goes backstage and does more comedy goofiness. I'm like, what is your character, Miz? Who are you? Are you comedy goofball, or are you super serious WWE Championship contender?
I think he's a victim of his own talent. He can do both well. WWE just get him out to do that no matter how incoherent it is. But everything he did well. I thought this was a good week for Miz. The first match of the show was Hurt Business versus Riddle and Lucha House Party. The Hurt Business lineup without Lashley, so MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander. Fun six-man stuff. Riddle beat MVP with, was it the floating bro? Yeah. And then Lashley came down because it seemed like someone might be getting over and just sort of hammerlocked Riddle. Not master locked. No, hammerlock. It's a hammerlock. No, it's a full Nelson. Full Nelson Riddle to bits and stood over him looking all masculine.
I think they call it the Hurt Lock. I'm pretty sure that's what
the Hurt Lock is a great name.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, dude. I think they've been calling it that now for months. I'm pretty sure it's been called that for since late last year. It's been called that.
You describe Matt Riddle's terrible backstage comedy while I double check that.
So Matt Riddle did comedy backstage with the Lucha House Party. I'm guessing it was President's Day or something, because he was talking about presidents and asking the Lucha House Party who their favorite presidents are. And in his list of favorite presidents, he said that one of his favorite presidents was Harrison Ford from Air Force One, because he once saved Chewbacca in Star Wars. I'll be honest, I love Air Force One, so I kind of popped a little bit for, because he's just listing off presidents and then just casually mentioned Harrison Ford. It's one of the few Riddle segments backstage that did make me laugh. So I'm going to give it a big old thumbs up for that.
I thought it was a bit rubbish. No, it looks like it's called the Full Nelson. Yeah,
it's the Hurt Lock. That's what Injection 2K is saying.
I mean, I always hear it when they talk about it as the Full Nelson, and everything I can see is the Full Nelson on Google, even WWE's own YouTube clips.
Have I made up that it's called the Hurt Lock? No, Forgotten Wonders. It's been the Hurt Lock.
It's been the Hurt Lock for a month now. It's a great name. Unfortunately, though, Reddit came up with a better name that I've found. They had a vote. What's the cooler submission name? Lashley Lock or Full Lashley? I like Full Ashley. Never go Full Ashley. You'd be so sweaty. You'd pass out from dehydration. So yeah, that was the sort of Hurt Business bit of the week. After that we got Miz.
Some Sean Ross stats for you. That is Matt Riddle's 11th match with the Hurt Business since November. So nice and repetitive.
We got Miz talking to Adam Pearce backstage about putting John Morrison in to replace him. Then we got Mandy Rose flirting with Bad Bunny. That's because that's what, women are sometimes. They are props to be used to flirt with celebrities.
She didn't just flirt with him, though. She also flirted on behalf of Dana Brooke to him as well. So, she has a dual purpose there.
Yeah, it's nice. Because they're best friends, Luke.
Well, yes,
they're bestest friends.
And I would say theirs is the most convincing of friendships as well.
Yeah.
Whenever I see them on TV, all I can think of is like what natural chemistry they have. The way they
definitely hang out together.
They do the arm thing. Best of friends.
So this was a way to sort of set up Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, who, still look cool. This is the third week of the 3-week push. And the camera whips round. I can't remember who's interviewing Bad Bunny. It was about his SNL appearance this Saturday, which is, that's a big deal. And the camera whips round. Akira Tozawa, I think it was, rolls up R-Truth, wins the 24/7 title, walks along. Damian Priest looks at him, boof, lays him out. Bad Bunny is your new 24/7 champion. So, good promo, because you can take that on SNL and hold the belt. But it does, and this was fine. It's like they behaved as though the 24/7 championship is beneath them. But I'm just worried that it's now in the same realm.
I disagree. Like, this is just so they can have Bad Bunny have a WWE championship on SNL this coming Saturday. Of course it's Saturday, isn't it? It's Saturday Night Live. Just as on like those two geeks that were on there from
Colin
WrestleMania.
Jost, yeah.
So like they're there. So they're there, so they could you'd have thought that they can do something with them. Like if I was WWE, I would try to get a title change done on the show. Like I think that could be something that's quite good. And then you can just have someone win it back. Maybe you see when R-Truth wins it back on the show, pinning Bad Bunny. It's. I mean, for me, the shame is that it's such a crap belt that no one cares about. Like it doesn't really show off your company that well. When it's like, well, this is a rubbish belt that means nothing. Please now watch Raw. But at the same time, it's why the belt exists. It's so it can change hands on NFL shows and, this, that, and the other. So, yeah, it's why it's there.
I agree with you. But on paper, on the third week of Damian Priest's
I wouldn't read too much into that. If there wasn't for SNL, this segment wouldn't exist. So I wouldn't worry too much. They're still solidly in the mid card. They're with Miz and Morrison.
You're right, Luke. You're right. I shouldn't worry about that fresh, exciting NXT call-up on his third week on the show. What precedent is there for anxiety there?
if he's running with Eric, then that's when you need to worry. But he's not running with them at the moment, or whichever one of the Viking Raiders that's still there. Whichever, like, if he's running with them and the other Humberto Carrillo, that's when you start to worry. Currently, I think it's fine.
So New Day then told Adam Pearce backstage, don't put in Morrison, put in Kofi. They want Kofi Mania Part 2. And Pearce booked that match, Miz and Kofi later. Then we got the Charlotte, Asuka, Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce thing that we've already covered, where Ric Flair, got a girl pregnant, implied.
I particularly like WWE ran a little like bumper thing to talk about their TikTok subscribers. And it wasn't that they have more subscribers than the NFL, NHL, and all these other things. It's that they were outpacing them in terms of like new subscribers to TikTok. It was an excellent little bit of word spin, which I very much enjoyed.
I like that. Go over to the WrestleTalk Podcast channel, the hottest. It's outpacing the main channel in terms of getting subs over a 3-week period.
Yeah. It's actually, you could argue it's our hottest channel that we have as far, because it's outpacing partsFUNknown. It's outpacing No Rolls Barred. It's the hottest channel going.
What are you waiting for? Get over and watch us. The exact same stream right now is also on that channel. Go over and do it. Sheamus cut a promo to Charlie Caruso saying that he's going to win the Gauntlet match that was going to main event the show. Then we got Kofi Kingston versus The Miz, which, it was a decent match. I don't think I was into it as everyone else was, because lots of people are like, oh my God, it's a mind-blowing match. To me, I've seen these guys before, and I'm not over it, but I've seen it. But I will give it credit for having a lot of stakes. It really felt like it meant something when Kofi won it.
Yeah, had this been just a regular week, I would have been, probably a bit fine on it. But I think that actually the stakes of him going into the chamber did add some level to this, because you're right. Like, we've been watching these two have matches for like 15 years at this point. So it's kind of hard to get excited about Kofi Kingston versus The Miz on Raw. But at the same time, hey, do you know what? I wasn't bored during it. I thought they were entertaining throughout. So I thought this was a good match. Really good, in fact.
Yeah. So Kofi won that. He's not only going into the chamber, but I love the idea that he's also going into the Gauntlet match later on, which we'll come to in a bit. Lana and Naomi talked about being, God damn this promo. So who was it? Was it Charlie or I didn't look who the interview was, but it was the Sarah Schreiber then. So they're backstage in the little ring area that they've got backstage for interviews. And Lana and Naomi are just hugging each other. Lana is hanging off Naomi's neck, being like, you're my lucky charm. You've come back. I just thought, I really don't care about this babyface chance or iteration of Lana's character. I didn't care about it 5 months ago. I care less about it now. And it's bringing Naomi down. I was excited for Naomi a couple of weeks ago when she returned.
Yeah, I know. I'm really sad for Naomi being stuck in this, because she's not the important character in all of this. Like, she is just there. Like, Lana is the pushed part of this act, which I do think that is a real shame. And like, Lana in this promo was just like, people like Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, they're just focused on being the best of all time. And I was like, yeah, that was your gimmick 6 months ago. Like, where's the consistency here to be like, I used to be that person, but now I've changed my ways? They're just pretending that it was never part of her character, which is why this Lana thing's never really connected with me, because it was just a light switch thing, being like, oh, by the way, she's now rubbish and she's just lucky to be here. That's her character now. Ignore everything else that's come previous to it, which is why I'm really not getting on board with it.
We had a Randy Orton promo next, but we'll come back to that, because after that was the match related to that promo, Lana versus Shayna Baszler. And I thought, Shayna Baszler better kill her. She's got to kill her in a minute, and she's got a toy with her in that minute as well. But it was kind of like, Shayna got the bulk of it, definitely, but Lana actually got a comeback. And it wasn't until Nia Jax beat up Naomi outside that distracted Lana that allowed Baszler to choke her out in the Kirifuda clutch.
I would disagree with you. on ever so slightly on this, like, because I had to watch it back, because you mentioned this in your review that Shayna had to sell for Lana, so I had to try and find an image of that, and there was no image of it in WWE's gallery, so I had to go back and watch the match so I could find an image of Shayna selling, and it didn't happen all that often, really. There was a couple of things. Every time Lana did get some offense in, Shayna was immediately like, nope, we're not having any of that, and then she won in the end. It just made I don't think it makes Shayna look great. Lana's, I don't know. I'm not into it. It doesn't really do anything for me.
Maybe. I'm perfectly fine with being corrected, but it's just anything where Shayna isn't awesome. It's just it's annoying me. It's annoying me. Yeah, particularly on that, and this is sort of like a year now to when she was last not good, because that first proper dominating run wasn't perfect by a long shot, but at least she was being pushed individually, and last year's Elimination Chamber was the last point of that.
We all thought she was going to be Raw Women's Champion. Like the whole point of her coming up, and like she was going to win the Royal Rumble last year. Like that was the plan. She was going to win the Royal Rumble, then beat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. She did neither of those things, and now she's in this tag team, like feuding with Lana.
Going back to that Randy Orton promo, he cut his generic unfinished business stuff about the Gauntlet match coming up. He goes, "You'll know the most destructive 3 letters in sports entertainment, RK." And then his feed gets interrupted, and it cuts to Bliss, Alexa Bliss, looking straight down the lens, and it looks like she's sitting down in the set of the Firefly Funhouse. And the camera sort of tracks back and up, so looking down at her on her knees. And she's sitting in the middle of a sort of circle pentagram, and she talks about summoning the Fiend back from the dead. Yeah,
Fiend is coming back. And she was sat like in a pentagram as well, which WWE tend to like shy away from. Like they will sometimes do it, but they won't like say what it is. It's that symbol, or like it's not a staff, it's something else. It's not a crucifix, it's a crucix. Sort of make up word stuff. This was just a straight up pentagram that was on the floor with the candles and everything around it, and she was just like, he's coming back. I'm literally raising him from the dead. So
no, I'm a Satanist, guys. Just in case there was any doubt.
I know some people have been asking questions, just so we're all clear. On the same hymn sheet, I'm a Satanist.
But I liked this. I'm trying to like think, why did I like it? Because I've really grown tired of all this stuff over the months. And I think it's a few things. I think it hasn't been on TV that much in the last couple of weeks. It wasn't the main event thing. So it wasn't like the big presented storyline on Raw. And crucially, nothing was insulting my intelligence in terms of someone's just literally materialized in the ring. It was, everything can kind of be put down to psychological mind games, which I find a lot more believable.
Yeah, I didn't mind this actually at all. I thought it was pretty effective. I thought that Bliss was really good in her role here. The visual of it was very, very cool. So I'm kind of into this. I'm still wondering when they're going to bring the Fiend back. Like, are they going to do it at the Chamber to like cost Randy Orton? Oh, Ollie's got some fancy booking.
Randy Orton's cell door is just about to open in the Chamber match. Oh, it won't open. Wait, it won't open. You start to hear the Fiend's laughter. Oh no, it won't open. Somehow, the Chamber sets alight.
I thought you were just going to say just his pod, like his pod. Just
just his pod, his pod.
I mean, dude, you may as well do it. Like, there's no harm in doing it, I guess.
I don't want this to happen. Just to be perfectly clear, that's stupid because you would kill a man. But
we've already killed people. I like the idea
killed a supernatural man.
I like the idea of putting Alexa Bliss in the match, but only Randy Orton can see her. So he's going up to all the other pods, being like, "You can see her, right?" And they're going like, "What are you talking about?" I'm trying to get ready for the match, and so she essentially taunts him throughout the match, but only he can see her.
Well, if you're not into that, are you into Braun Strowman
No, I'm not.
Versus Shane McMahon.
Absolutely not. So I got taken to task by a few people on Twitter last week when I said it should be Shane McMahon versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. People were like, that's the worst thing you could possibly say. This is way worse. Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman is so much worse than Shane versus Drew for the title. So much. Can you imagine how terrible that match is going to be? Braun having to sell for Shane McMahon. It's going to be
but they won't.
Dreadful, man.
Shane's going to jump off a load of stuff, and there's going to be loads of smokes and mirrors and hardcore spots. But Drew's the champion.
And you want to...
Are you telling me you want Shane McMahon? You've made my eye blink. Are you telling me Shane McMahon going for a top championship against Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania?
In a storyline where he is not where they are very clear that he is not deserving of this role, and he's put himself in there as a megalomaniacal decision that he thinks he's the box office draw, and then Drew goes and absolutely destroys him. That's an interesting storyline. Shane versus Braun over Braun being mad that he's not in a chamber match and that's Shane's fault. That's crap, and it'll be a crap match and I don't want to see it. I would much rather Shane and Drew have a match which could be at the very least good and a good storyline.
So what happened, folks? Braun Strowman returned backstage. He's been off TV for ages since he got so offended by Adam Pearce's last but not least. Do you remember that?
He's on SmackDown.
Oh yeah, bollocks! I forgot about SmackDown. Yeah, well, whatever. He's back on Raw.
He hasn't been on Raw in months. You're right. Hasn't been on Raw since Survivor Series. He's meant to have a title match against Drew. Remember that?
Yeah. Then he said Shane better make this right. So that's why we're talking about this possibility. Might just be a little angle, but it's the right time of year. Shane came back last week.
Oh, I could give you 10, 20 matches I'd rather see Shane McMahon have at WrestleMania before I get to Braun. 30. I could probably even get to 30. Basically, anyone from NXT. All right. The Miz, John Morrison, Angel Garza, Andrade, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Randy Orton. I'd probably actually I'm going to take that one back. I'm taking that one back. I apologize for that one. Finn
This
Balor.
Is like a Quizzlemania round. Finn Balor.
Finn Balor. I'd much rather see him have a match with Finn Balor than a match with Braun Strowman. I'd much rather see him have a match with Finn Balor.
What is the chat saying about this?
I think most people are on my side. Like AJ Styles again. 100. Absolutely AJ Styles again. Totally agree with that one. Triple H is another one that someone suggested. Much rather see that match. Where do I get to? 15. John Morrison. I can't remember if I already said that one.
You were like 7.
There you go. Steve Blackman. Bring back Steve Blackman for another match.
That's a great shout, actually.
Edge is another one. Christian. I'd much rather. Big E. The New Day. All three of them.
You're just saying things you can see. Lamp. Shane McMahon
laptop,
versus Lampy.
Ring lights. This cup.
All things Shane McMahon could either use as weapons or jump off of in his match with Braun Strowman. So the main event of Raw actually was really, really good.
Great.
It was a whole hour, the last hour of the show, a gauntlet match. WWE are really good at gauntlet matches, I think we can say. There's not many things that they do better than anyone, but gauntlet matches, they've got a real great track record. And crucially, sometimes they do them every week, but mostly they spread them out really well. So you'll get one around February, you get one in August, 3 or 4 a year maybe on your individual shows. And it's just enough to keep it special. It's a mark of restraint that you don't often see in this company. And this had stakes as well. The person who won, who was in there at the end, would get to go last in the chamber.
Yeah, it added a lot of stakes to the match. And I was looking at that lineup, and obviously there are some people who are like, well, it's not going to be Jeff Hardy, and it's not going to be Kofi Kingston. But I was like, could be AJ, could be Sheamus, could be Randy, could even be Drew. So it added quite a lot to this match. When Drew came out like second or third, I suppose, if you want to say that AJ and Kofi were 1 and 2. When he came out third, I was like, I mean, they're going to pin AJ this soon. How are you going to get AJ out of this match? Like Randy still to come yet? it really did add a lot of drama to this match. And I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I think they're very good at gauntlet matches, particularly because they've got a 3-hour show. They're just like, cool, well, the last hour of this show then is going to be the gauntlet match. So like our first match can go 20 minutes. Our second match can go 20 minutes as well. So you kind of, and then you can put over this idea that they're going through this huge level of fatigue, which then protects Drew in the end when he does lose against Sheamus. They found a creative way to get Randy Orton out of this. He got a win over Jeff Hardy. I thought a lot of people came out this, like, actually, I'd argue most people came out of this looking great. Maybe 5 out of the 6 came out of it looking really, really good.
Yeah, I guess it forces Raw to do long matches, which is always good because they're so choppy sometimes. But yeah, it started off with AJ versus Kofi. Omos, that tall guy, took out Xavier Woods by just holding him up with one arm for ages in a sort of choke slam, and then throwing him over the barricade. Omos got ejected. I just assumed that was setting up a Kofi win. But then no, AJ just sort of beat Kofi clean relatively soon with a phenomenal forearm.
Yeah, because Kofi had the leg injury going into this from the Miz match. So AJ was, I was surprised they didn't just do the calf crusher really as a way to, really sort of sell that injury and stuff. But yeah, I think that was a smart thing to do. Kind of sucks for Kofi a little bit, but at least he had an out to go out first. And AJ is, he's on momentum. He's got momentum on his side, which makes Drew's win over him even more impressive.
I think this is where you have Ali from Retribution cost Kofi the match. I don't see why you don't do that. Like you said, it's a gauntlet match. They're feuding about not getting into an old gauntlet match. So that's a missed opportunity. But then, yeah, Drew McIntyre came out next. And him and AJ just had a fantastic match. Best match of the show. Best match of the gauntlet. I forgot I was watching a gauntlet match. And I was like, oh, why did... It's such a shame that their TLC match in December, was a TLC match. If that was a straight up one-on-one, God, they could have told a good story. And
there's still a lot left in that tank as well. I think for the AJ Drew thing, because you had all the Miz shenanigans in there as well. I think there's a lot you can still run with the Kofi, with the AJ Drew stuff. So yeah, so I just really, really enjoyed this. And it's kind of similar with the Jeff Hardy one as well. It wasn't as good. But I don't think Jeff doesn't seem to be particularly enthused at the moment. This isn't the most charismatic of enigmas that we've seen with Jeff Hardy. And it was perfectly fine. Drew just gets the knees up off the Swanton and hit the Claymore for the win. Randy Orton was out next, but it immediately got distracted by Alexa Bliss being on all the screens and got counted out. Bit of a lame duck, I suppose, for Randy Orton, because there's so much all of the screen stuff and all the noise and everything, and Randy Orton's pooping his pants, and then you just hear all of a sudden 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but compared to other ways WWE have done countouts, and the image of Bliss on all the screens was so arresting. I was certainly distracted by it. I think it helps when you also forget about the idea of a count. But yeah, that rode out Randy Orton. And then the final one, after Drew had been in there for 30, 35 minutes, Sheamus attacks him before the bell, even though he's got all that advantage. Drew stubbornly says, yes, I will continue the match. And, they have a really good 5 minutes. But Sheamus beats him with the brogue kick. Yeah,
really, really good stuff. I really enjoyed this. And it's kind of I think you and I said it was too soon to do the Sheamus heel turn, and I still agree. I still stand by that. I still think it was too soon to do it after the Royal Rumble. I think you could have teased it out a little bit longer, but it actually did add quite a little bit of drama into this match. Maybe it would have been better if it was still that friendship, respect thing. But at the end of it, when Sheamus, hit the bro kick and won, and then he just cuts this promo by saying, this Sunday, I'm going to do that again because you can't beat me, and I will be WWE champion. Yeah, Drew versus Sheamus, I do think could still be a WrestleMania match. It's not as good as Drew versus Shane. I think we can all agree on that. But I'm just trolling you at this point. But I think Sheamus came out of this looking really, really good. And as someone who, the whole storyline last week was you're not good enough to main event a pay-per-view. I think this actually did a good job of kind of establishing him as you could actually. You're making yourself now feel like you should main event pay-per-views.
Yeah, that promo that he cut at the end really smacked of, oh, we've got 2 minutes of TV time left. Give him a mic.
You remember like SmackDown Live used to be? Like, do you remember that? There was that period of time where SmackDown Live always ran 5 minutes short. And they were like, oh no, give Kevin Owens the microphone again.
I read a theory that the next pay-per-view is Fastlane, and that is also the first pay-per-view on Peacock Premium. If WWE wanted to do a big pay-per-view match for that, a draw, Sheamus could win the title in the Chamber, and Drew could win it back on Fastlane.
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know
it's
if
compelling.
They are the title switch. It is, but no, like Alexa Bliss, it's perplexing. Perplexiglass. I don't know if they will do. I'm pretty confident in Drew retaining. Spoilers for my predictions tomorrow on the Elimination Chamber prediction show. But I mean, are you going to put your card out on the table now, and you're going to say that you think Sheamus is walking out the Chamber as the champion?
I've got to sleep on it. I'll see where I'm at tomorrow. Easy plug for our prediction stream. Same time tomorrow on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. Remember, folks, so subscribe there. It'll be me, Luke, Laurie, and a bunch of others, because we're having our own Elimination Jamba match.
Are we not calling it a championship?
A Jamba. A Jamba. Jamboree.
Jamboree. We're having a jamboree.
Overall, I gave Raw a 3 out of 5. But to be honest, by recent episodes, it's a freaking 6-star show, because I thought the last hour in particular flew by, and I even enjoyed the first 2 hours, where a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, I mean, we put this poll to our YouTube community poll over on WrestleTalk Podcast channel, and that again was 3 out of 5 as well, like quite predominantly 3 out of 5 for the show. And the comments were that they all very much enjoyed the Gauntlet match, but not so much the rest of the show. Particularly the Lacey Evans stuff has not got down well with the audience as far as we can tell. But yeah, I thought this was a very decent episode of Raw, and as you say, it's been the best episode, probably the best episode of Raw this year. And yeah, I quite enjoyed it, actually. I thought it was a solid 3 out of 5 show.
Legends Night, Luke.
I didn't watch Legends Night. That was my week off. I didn't see that show.
Right. Well, thank you, everybody, for sticking around for the play-by-play. We're going to do our Patreon shout-outs now, and then we're going to do the rest of your hyper chats. So last call for hyper chats, WrestleTalk.com/support. And also, for the last bit, look, you're the most dedicated viewers. Go over to the WrestleTalk Podcast channel now. Subscribe there. Watch this last 10-minute period of the show over there, because it's the last chance you'll get to make the switch while we're doing the dual streaming. But thank you to all.
It's the last ever Raw podcast review on the main WrestleTalk channel. End of an era.
But thank you very much to our $25 a month or more pledge hammers on Patreon. Infinite Crisis, Chris Jenkins.
Woo. Yes, lovely stuff. Here comes the money, Fred Buckland.
I don't want to hear that music. All-Star, Chuck Turner.
Yeah. Aram Swain, The Rock Johnson.
Always leave the crowd wanting Brian Moore.
Oh, we always want Brian Moore. Duncan, just Duncan.
Thanks, Duncan. Angelic and Helico Mercedo.
Oh, very nice. I like that. Say it to my face, Riley.
Peter Fiber Brauntus.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I like it. Ari and Shifra, the booze awaits.
Thank you. Butter me up. Soranord.
Karaoke classic. And lastly, for this Hall of Fame class, Chris Hellfire Brimstone.
Thank you, everybody, all so much. If you go over to Patreon right now, you can take part in Wrestle League predictions against us for this weekend's Elimination Chamber, and also a massive WrestleTalk Patreon exclusive podcast review with me and Luke on St. Valentine's Day Massacre 1999.
It was 3 hours long. We go into all of the news from that time period, including ECW potentially going out of business in 1999, Nitro putting on apparently the worst show ever, and a whole bunch of other stuff. It was a really, really fun show to do. And next week, for $10 and above backers, it will be our drunk podcast, WrestleTalk After Dark, where we talk about all manner of naughty things, and the swear button just gets, the swear button doesn't get used. It's a very lackadaisical show. It's a bit sweary at times.
Last call for the hyper chats, WrestleTalk.com/support. Get them in over there. Reese Johnson says, afternoon, lads. Hope you're both well. So with Lacey up the duff, who does Asuka face? I'm not optimistic at all, so 100% Charlotte stepping in to face her best friend, beat her in 2 minutes, and having title going into Mania. Hashtag El Fakador is here.
I mean, there is that question mark over what are they going to do with Rhea Ripley, because Rhea Ripley has been officially called up to the main roster, but there are no plans for her. So maybe now is the time to essentially just scrap the plans you had for Charlotte and Lacey and just do Charlotte Rhea instead. So yeah, Charlotte wins the belt this Sunday, and then Rhea can win it at Mania.
Poor Asuka. James Dobinson. So it's okay for Bliss and Fiend to openly practice Satanism and be the faces in the Randy Orton story. That's a bit messed up. Hey, but being evil magic's cool.
Yeah, like the Ministry. The Ministry were baby faces. The crowd were into the Ministry.
Zachary Jenkins.
At times they were baby faces. They were not baby faces doing the Black Wedding.
Zachary Jenkins. Hey guys, how was Valentine's Day? Mine was great until Adam Cole super kicked my heart and broke it. Also, trivia question. When do you think Kofi and Miz had their first match together? Answers 2008. This company had not moved on.
Yeah. 13 years of watching those two have matches. 13 years. Crikey.
Charles Berg. Hi, I'm back from a break. Nia broke me and I'll never be whole again. I've just returned to remind you that it's a National Pancake Day. When you find some buttermilk, make sure it's cultured buttermilk. Al Wilson never got Dawn pregnant, so it is a bit different.
It is in terms of like, so Al Wilson, Tori Wilson's father, had a storyline with Dawn Marie.
Oh yeah.
Like many moons ago. Yeah, it is Pancake Day. Are you having pancakes?
Already had pancakes. I had loads of pancakes with blueberries and maple syrup this morning, and I got really sleepy. How about you?
I haven't had any yet, but we're going to have some this evening with some peanut butter.
Tomo's in the chat. Tomo. Hey guys, been a while since I've watched live. Just want to ask how you lads have been recently. That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it, to be honest. More importantly, how have you been, Tomo?
Yeah, all the better for seeing you, Tomo. Mr. Burt Wayne donated. Thank you, but no message. Jesse Venable. Hey, lads. Today hits hard as I'm no longer engaged to be married and single for the first time in 6 years. I've followed this channel since 2016, and you guys feel like family to me. Tomorrow is my 29th birthday, and I'm pumped for the Quizzlemania. Jam that jam.
Oh, mate, Jesse, you can always hang out with us, but at Quizzlemania, it's going to be a grand old time. It's me versus champion Andy. I'm going to get my title back off of him. Versus Denise Salcedo and former WWE star Melina returns to WrestleTalk. So that'll be fun to have Melina back on.
Go over and subscribe to partsFUNknown there. But yeah, stay strong, Jesse. Jam that jam. TB1, Lacey's baby becomes 24/7 champion before Elimination Chamber. Yes, that's what Maria Kanellis was going to do.
Exactly. So much better, right?
Stephen Guzman, happy to see Kofi in the chamber, but it's so weird to think about Kofi has not even attempted to go back to winning the title since he lost it. Wish they did a story about him somewhat coasting after losing the belt, having someone who brings out the best in Kofi.
That's a great story, man. I really, really like that.
Criminally Gentle. Saw the news video talking about dream matches. What about Cesaro versus Stu Grayson? Wouldn't that be a match for the ages? Two criminally underrated guys.
Yeah, that'd be very, very nice. I like that a lot.
Bacon Rasher. I was thinking what Tony Khan's done bringing wrestling together and thought Mr. Davis did the same with the wrestling community on YouTube. So alike. Also at TakeOver, when Baszler was being beat down, I thought, Miz cash in. Not sure if I kind of like the idea.
I think that's a worse idea than me saying Baszler versus Shayna at WrestleMania, for the record.
I hate all other YouTube channels. It's actually Luke who forges the relationships.
I was going to say, as part of my job is to reach out to everyone and get and start chatting.
Devante Lee. TakeOver Portland was a year ago. I was there live and it was a great show, but looking back at the videos makes me cringe. Way too many people in the building. Yeah.
I had the exact same thing, man. When I was going back and seeing, like, getting some images from, like, to do the end of year list and seeing people at shows in February, I was like, oh no, get far away from each other. What are you doing?
Caleb Maldonado. Why not call the Hurt Lock the glutes, due in part to his time with Leo Rush? That ass. Bobby Lashley. Also, in regards to the AEW versus WWE Dream match, why not Sammy Guevara versus Daniel Bryan? Good review again, gents, and have a great day. You too, Caleb. Sammy versus Bryan. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, depends on if they want to do it in Impact or not, and Sammy can just, leave before they actually film it. Topical. Yeah, I do like that, though. I forgot about that gimmick for Bobby Lashley, where it's just, what's your gimmick, Lashley? I point at my butt, and Leo says, look at the butt. That was on TV for weeks.
Yeah. Alan Monzon. Hey guys, this is a non-Raw related question. What are your thoughts on the closing angle of TakeOver on Sunday? I'm personally excited to see O'Reilly versus Cole feud potentially for the NXT title, or for Kyle to jumpstart his run to becoming NXT champion.
I mean, I did say one of my predictions for 2021 was the split up of the Undisputed Era, leading to basically the two factions splitting off either side. So I'm all in for it. I cannot wait to see it.
I loved it. I loved the match. I thought Balor versus Dunn was incredible. And yeah, I love how much intrigue there is, because I feel, if Roddy was there with him, and walked off with Cole, then it's a really thrilling angle. But the way where everyone was kind of caught by surprise, it felt like an impulse decision on Cole's behalf. So, it's the most excited I've been about NXT for a long time.
Same here. Easily since the start of the USA era.
Gabbage M8. Possible conspiracy theory, but the Fiend has trapped the real Alexa Bliss inside herself while this lady Fiend runs wild using her as a vessel. That explains why during matches we get blips of the real Alexa crying and begging for help. #free Alexa, #jam.
That is interesting, because I thought that part of it was just her doing mind games, like she would do it just to confuse Nikki Cross, or just confuse whoever she's in the ring with. But yeah, I also quite like the idea that, if you are going fully supernatural with this, that the real Alexa is trying to get out of this.
I love that story. I like that a lot. Ender Madden. But guys, what happened to the lustful, seducing, erotic, beautiful, alluring, downright gorgeous eyes of Angel Garza while he tried to seduce us through the TV? Real talk though, Bobby consistently looks good on TV for months now. What's next for him?
Probably more of the same until they know what they want to do, because I haven't a blues clue what you do with him at this point.
Keith Lee feud, drops the title to Keith Lee, puts over Keith Lee. I think that's best for all involved. Alfonso Jones. It's my first Ultra Chat. Did you all catch the spoiler of Kofi getting into the chamber from the video package they played before the Kofi Miz match?
I didn't know. I mean, because they played two promotional adverts for the chamber, but it was kind of like showing things from Chamber's past. So no, I didn't catch that they had. I don't know if they did spoil it. I don't know.
Luke Sermon. They have to give it to Rhea Ripley. I want to see Rhea versus Asuka. And what would you two like to see? And Adam Cole is the best. What is Strong going to do? I think Strong sides with Adam and Bobby sides with Kyle.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well.
Cole's too abusive. He'll bully Bobby into doing it. But not Bobby, sorry, Roddy. I like the idea of Rhea versus Asuka, obviously. I just don't think it's going to happen. Matthew Robinson, hey guys, just wanted to give you guys a shout out that you are all amazing and you have made this past year amazing. If you could pick one match to make at WrestleMania, given the current roster and storylines that WWE wouldn't do, what would it be? Mine would be, this is me talking now, Keith Lee versus Brock Lesnar with Keith Lee going over.
If you could pick one match to make at WrestleMania, with the current day roster, Keith Lee versus Brock Lesnar is awesome. Like that's really good. But I mean, I've already said what mine is. It's Drew versus Shane. No, dude, I think you've got the best answer there. I love that. I love that so much.
Zachary Giger. What if WWE promotes an open challenge for Asuka at the Chamber and a debuting Taya Valkyrie answers? Of course, she signed over the weekend. They have a 15-20 minute match, making Taya look very strong in defeat. It will be a cool surprise and will boost the Raw Women's division. #jam that jam. I like that a lot, Zachary. Just let Taya win it.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same thing. If you're going to debut her in that kind of, mold where she's a surprise entrant, have her win the belt. I think that'd be a really great way to establish her as a top star, on Raw. And I was like Sean was saying on the Fightful show with Denise, like she is a ready-made main roster talent. You don't need to take her through NXT for a couple of years. Like she's literally already made for the main roster. Actually, I think the same for Eli Drake. He's already made for the main roster. You don't need to spend time wasting time in NXT when you can just go straight to the main roster.
And finally, Tim McDonnell, Mustafa Ali is great. Pass it on.
He really is. I don't think WWE know that.
Well, thank you everybody all for joining us here today. Thanks for all your hyper chat. Remember, this is the last podcast Raw review on WrestleTalk's main channel. So go over at the end of this stream, if you haven't already, go over to the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. There's loads of links everywhere and click subscribe. Enable notifications to always on so you know when everything moves over there as of next week. So as of the Elimination Chamber review on Monday, it's only going to be on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. So please, please, please do go over there. And also go and watch the WrestleTalk news that went up earlier today. But for now, and our predictions tomorrow for Elimination Chamber and Quizzlemania tomorrow on partsFUNknown. But for now, I've been Mr. Davis. This has been Lukewarm Luke Owen. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam.